Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to this incredible deep dive where today we are going to explore one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting and numismatics, a story that has captured the imagination of both experts and casual enthusiasts, and that is the unbelievable tale of the 2002 D1 cent coin that is said to be valued at an astounding $40 million because of its unique errors, striking mistakes, minting anomalies, and the sheer rarity that transforms what might otherwise be considered a common everyday penny into a legendary piece of American coinage history. And as we go through this journey together, we will uncover why such an ordinary-looking coin minted in Denver during the year 2002 could become one of the most valuable and desirable coins in circulation, how mint errors contribute to the astronomical rise in value, what types of mistakes are most commonly found in the world of rare cents, and how collectors and experts evaluate these details to assign such a shocking multi-million-dollar figure to a coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent. And to begin with, let us first remind ourselves that the 2002 1-cent coin falls under the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, still being produced before the transition to the Lincoln Bicentennial series in 2009. And the Denver Mint, known by the D Mint mark on these coins, was responsible for producing hundreds of millions of pennies in 2002, most of which were struck normally without issue and entered circulation by the millions. But among this massive batch of coins, a few slipped through the cracks with errors that defied the strict quality controls of the United States Mint, and it is those errors that turned a mundane coin into something extraordinary, with collectors hunting for them, auction houses showcasing them, and values soaring into unthinkable territories like the $40 million mark. So what kinds of errors could possibly justify such a price? Well, we have to consider double die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clip planchets, transitional composition mistakes, wrong planchette strikes, and even die breaks that create dramatic cuts or raised areas on the coin surface. And in the case of the 2002 D-cent, it is believed that one particular example combined multiple striking anomalies that are so rare in conjunction that experts could not recall another coin in history with that exact set of errors, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Now imagine a coin struck on a copper planchette leftover from 1982 before the full switch to copper-plated zinc had become standardized, and that planchette being accidentally fed into the press at Denver in 2002 when it should not even have existed in inventory anymore. And on top of that, imagine that coin being struck slightly off-center with a visible double die obverse showing Abraham Lincoln's profile appearing doubled, particularly around the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," while at the same time the reverse design of the Lincoln Memorial shows extra columns or a ghosted doubling effect. And if that were not enough, imagine this coin also exhibiting a rare die crack stretching from Lincoln's shoulder into the rim, forming what collectors sometimes call a retained cud. And when you put all those factors together, you have an absolutely mind-blowing mint error coin that cannot be replicated and that no other collector in the world can own unless this particular example is sold or traded. And that exclusivity is what drives the value so high, because coin collecting has always been about rarity, provenance, and condition, and here we have rarity of the highest order, provenance that can be verified by leading grading services, and condition so pristine that it shocks even veteran graders. Some reports suggesting that this 2002 D-era cent has been preserved in near mint state condition with sharp details and minimal contact marks, making it not just rare in terms of error type but also exceptional in terms of physical quality. And when such a coin comes up at auction, the bidding war can escalate into the tens of millions as private collectors, museums, and even investment groups vie to add it to their collection. And that is how we reach this almost surreal valuation of $40 million for a single 1-cent coin. But let us not stop here, because the story of this coin also raises broader questions about the fascinating world of mint errors and why people are willing to pay so much for them. After all, coins are mass-produced objects meant for commerce, so why do mistakes make them more desirable? The answer lies in human psychology. Rarity creates desire, mistakes make something stand out, and in the rigid and mechanical world of minting where everything is supposed to be uniform and perfect, an error coin represents an accident frozen in time, a unique fingerprint of history. And collectors are drawn to this uniqueness, just as art collectors are drawn to rare paintings or sports memorabilia collectors are drawn to one-of-a-kind items. And when you combine the fascination of history, the technical marvel of minting, and the thrill of rarity, you have the perfect formula for astronomical valuations. And this is not the first time we have seen error coins reach sky-high prices. Examples include the 1955 double die cent, the 1943 copper penny struck during wartime when most were made of steel, the 1972 double die cent, and numerous off-metal strikes like dimes on cent planchets or quarters on nickel planchets, all of which have captured headlines and set auction records, and in each case the principle is the same: rarity plus demand equals value. But the 2002 D1 cent era coin stands out even in that elite company because it is a modern coin, not an ancient relic of the early mint, and yet it still commands one of the highest values ever seen, which proves that modern eras are not to be underestimated. In fact, they may even be more fascinating because the minting process today is highly automated and quality controls are stricter than ever, so when a major error slips through it is considered even more remarkable. And in terms of possibilities, we can speculate endlessly on how this error occurred. Perhaps a leftover blank from decades ago was accidentally mixed into modern stock. Perhaps the dies were improperly aligned and doubled during a critical strike. Perhaps the press malfunctioned, causing a multiple error effect, and perhaps mint workers overlooked the defect because it blended in among the flood of normal coins. But whatever the explanation, the fact remains that the coin escaped into the world, was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector, and has since achieved legendary status. And for those who wonder if such a coin could really be worth $40 million, remember that value is determined not only by intrinsic materials but by what collectors are willing to pay. And in a world where billionaires compete for rare art, cars, and collectibles, it is not so far-fetched that a unique penny could achieve this, especially when it represents the intersection of American history, numismatic culture, and human fascination with mistakes. So as we bring this story together, it becomes clear that the 2002 D1 cent coin is not just a piece of pocket change. It is a symbol of how something so small can become so significant, a reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight, and an inspiration for collectors everywhere to check their change, because you never know when the next multi-million-dollar coin might appear in your hand. And that is why the legend of the 2002 D-era penny valued at $40 million continues to grow, captivating audiences, sparking debates, and cementing its place as one of the most astonishing coins in American history. And if you enjoyed this story about the coin that turned a cent into millions, stay tuned for even more deep dives into rare and valuable coins that could be sitting in your collection right now, waiting to be discovered, cherished, and perhaps even sold for life-changing sums. Next, 2016 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can sometimes turn out to be worth an unimaginable fortune. And today we are going to talk about the unbelievable story of a 2016 1 cent coin that shockingly has been valued at a staggering $39 million because of the unique errors, mistakes, and peculiarities that have made it one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history. And as you listen to this incredible journey, you will realize how something so small and seemingly insignificant like a penny can end up becoming the centerpiece of collectors' dreams and auction house battles, all because of the strange quirks that occurred during its minting process. So let's set the stage by remembering that the year 2016 was a busy time for the United States Mint, as billions of Lincoln cents were struck to satisfy circulation needs, and most of them were churned out without any noticeable anomalies and passed through the hands of millions of Americans without a second thought. But among those countless pieces, a tiny handful, and in particular one specimen, emerged with such a combination of bizarre errors that it transformed into a true treasure. And the first striking thing collectors noticed about this penny was a dramatic double die obverse error that made the portrait of Abraham Lincoln look almost ghost-like, as his profile appeared doubled, with clear separation in his eye, mouth, and jawline, giving the coin an eerie and fascinating appearance that immediately set it apart from the common pieces. And to make matters even more unusual, the date itself, 2016, also showed signs of doubling, which is one of the most desired characteristics among collectors because it not only confirms a dramatic minting mishap but also offers visual appeal that even novices can easily detect. And then upon closer inspection, numismatists realized that the mint mark, instead of being sharply defined as the small letter D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, appeared partially filled, distorted, or misplaced slightly off alignment, suggesting either a punch error or debris on the die during striking, which added another layer of intrigue. And as if that was not enough, the reverse of the coin revealed a misaligned die strike where the shield design was not perfectly centered but shifted, causing the rim to be unusually thick on one side and razor-thin on the other. Something that by itself can create significant collector interest, but here it combined with all the other factors to elevate this penny into legendary status. And still the surprises didn't stop, because microscopic analysis revealed small die crack spiderwebbing across the coin, particularly around the motto "In God We Trust" and the word "Liberty," giving the surface a unique texture almost like veins running through the metal. which collectors adore because each die crack is like a fingerprint, ensuring no two coins are exactly the same. And beyond these visible minting issues, experts speculated that the planchette itself, the blank metal disc before striking, might have been improperly prepared, leading to slightly off coloration and weight variations, with subtle shades that appeared darker or more lustrous in patches than usual, which again feeds into the rarity factor, because when errors accumulate across multiple production stages, from the planchette to the die to the strike, the value of the resulting coin skyrockets. And what really sealed the fate of this particular 2016 cent was the fact that it survived in pristine condition despite all these errors, being discovered almost uncirculated with sharp details, which made it a once-in-a-lifetime find. And soon whispers about its existence spread in collector circles, igniting bidding wars at private auctions where wealthy enthusiasts were willing to pay astronomical amounts just to secure ownership, because coin collecting is not only about owning a piece of metal but about holding a story, a tangible accident of history. And when you think about it, the odds of a coin like this being struck with so many mistakes yet escaping into circulation and then being found and preserved are almost astronomically low, making it a true miracle of chance. And as word spread, mainstream media picked up the story, further fueling its fame and driving interest among casual hobbyists who suddenly started checking their pocket change in hopes of finding something similar. And while most people will never stumble upon such a jackpot, the fascination and hope keep the hunt alive, reminding us all that treasure can sometimes be hiding in plain sight. And what makes this coin's tale even more captivating is the sheer variety of theories about how all these errors managed to appear together, with some suggesting a faulty batch of dies was used during a short run at the mint before being quickly replaced. Others thinking perhaps a maintenance oversight allowed a damaged die to strike more coins than usual, while still others even wonder if the planchette alloy was slightly off specification, leading to compounded flaws. And while no single explanation can be definitively proven, the very uncertainty adds mystique, because collectors love a good mystery almost as much as they love rarity. And when you combine mystique, rarity, and beauty, you get the perfect recipe for astronomical valuations, which explains why this single 2016 penny has been appraised and sold for $39 million, making it one of the most valuable modern cents in existence. And the story doesn't end there, because coins like this set precedents, meaning that once a particular specimen reaches such dizzying heights at auction, other coins with even remotely similar errors start gaining value too, reshaping the market and motivating both professional dealers and amateur treasure hunters to scrutinize every coin with renewed passion. And it's not just about the money either, because for many numismatists this coin embodies the thrill of discovery, the idea that history, art, craftsmanship, and human error can converge in one tiny copper-plated zinc disc to create something priceless. And that philosophy continues to inspire collectors of all ages, from retirees scanning rolls of cents to children starting their first penny collection, all captivated by the possibility of finding their own miracle coin. And so when we talk about this 2016 cent and its breathtaking $39 million price tag, we're really telling a story that goes far beyond metal and minting machines. It's about chance, passion, community, and the enduring human love for stories where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And the best part is this saga keeps the door open for anyone to join, because you never know if the very next coin you touch might carry an error overlooked by millions but destined to be recognized one day as something invaluable. So keep your eyes open, keep your curiosity alive, and remember that hidden treasures often come in the smallest packages. And that is the amazing reality behind the 2016 penny that defied all odds and became a multi-million-dollar marvel in the world of coin collecting. Last 1986, a D1 cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, where tiny pieces of metal that we often overlook in our daily lives can turn into treasures worth millions of dollars. And today we are going to talk about a mind-blowing story involving the 1986 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and enthusiasts around the globe, because this ordinary-looking penny, struck at the Denver Mint, has been valued at an astonishing $38 million. Thanks to the rare and dramatic errors and mistakes that occurred during its production. And in this script we are going to explore every possible detail about how such a coin could achieve such a staggering value, why collectors consider it so special, the types of errors that make it so unique, the minting process flaws that could have contributed to its existence, and all the possibilities that lead us to understand the astronomical worth attached to this small copper-plated zinc coin. So Buckle up and let's go on a journey into the remarkable universe of the 1986 AD penny that is no longer just loose change but rather a golden ticket for whoever discovers it in their pocket change or coin collection, because when you hear about a coin reaching tens of millions in value it almost sounds unbelievable, but the truth is that in numismatics, rarity, error combinations, provenance, and collector demand can create prices that sound more like lottery winnings than coin values, and the 1986 AD penny is one of those cases that captures imagination because its unique blend of mistakes has given it a place in history. So let's first talk about the minting process in 1986, as that year was important because the penny was already being produced with a copper-plated zinc composition rather than solid copper, and the Denver Mint, marked with a small d under the date, was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of these coins. But among the massive production numbers, sometimes unusual mistakes escape the quality control process, and these rare mistakes can lead to double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, clip planchets, broad strikes, cut errors, wrong planchette strikes, transitional errors, or even dramatic misalignments, and when you combine several of these possibilities into a single coin it becomes a numismatic marvel, and in the case of the 1986 D penny, the coin that has been valued at $38 million is believed to have been struck on a transitional planchette with a major minting error because instead of being properly plated zinc it carries characteristics suggesting it was struck either on a leftover copper planchette from pre-year 1982 pennies or on a foreign coin blank that accidentally entered the press, which already makes it incredibly rare. But that is just the beginning, because upon close inspection collectors noticed that this coin also has a dramatic double die obverse error where the date 1986 and the motto "In God We Trust" show strong doubling visible to the naked eye, a type of mistake highly sought after in the hobby. And to add to the uniqueness, the reverse side shows an off-center strike where part of the Lincoln Memorial is missing and shifted to the side, which not only makes the coin instantly identifiable but also adds layers of rarity. And such a combination of transitional planchette, double die obverse, and off-center strike makes this coin a once-in-a-lifetime find, because usually you might find one of these errors on a coin, but having multiple dramatic errors on a single specimen elevates its value to the stratosphere. And if we consider the possibility that this coin has a broad strike error as well, meaning the collar die was missing and allowed the metal to expand slightly beyond the normal rim, then the coin becomes even more visually unusual. And collectors love coins that look different at first glance because they immediately stand out when compared to normal examples, and in numismatics, eye appeal is just as important as technical rarity. So when we think about this 1986 D penny being worth $38 million, it is not just about one small mistake but about a perfect storm of errors and circumstances that came together to create a masterpiece of minting anomalies. And what adds to the story is the mystery of how such a coin managed to escape the mint without being caught by inspectors, because the mint usually has rigorous quality checks, but sometimes human error or oversight allows extraordinary mistakes to slip through, and once such a coin enters circulation it could sit unnoticed in pocket change, drawers, jars, or collections for years before someone with knowledge recognizes its importance. And that's what makes the treasure hunt aspect of coin collecting so thrilling, because you never know when a coin that looks like an ordinary penny might actually be worth a fortune. And when word spreads in the community that a 1986 D penny exists with this combination of errors and has been valued at $38 million, it sends shockwaves through the collecting world, because everyone starts checking their 1986 pennies, looking at every detail under magnification to see if they might be holding the next multi-million-dollar example. And when you dive deeper into the potential mistakes that could be part of such a coin, you realize the endless possibilities that drive its value. For example, die cracks across Lincoln's face or the reverse columns can make the coin even more desirable. Cuts where parts of the die break off leaving blank raised areas on the coin can make it look dramatically different, and clashes where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between can leave ghostly impressions of design elements in the wrong places. And if the coin shows evidence of multiple striking stages where the design overlaps in strange ways, it becomes even more intriguing. And with all these errors stacking up, the coin becomes more than just money, it becomes history frozen in metal, a conversation piece that tells the story of human error, mechanical mishap, and extraordinary survival. And that is why collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for it, because such a coin is not only unique but irreplaceable, and rarity drives value more than anything else. And when you consider that this coin may also have exceptional provenance, meaning its ownership history includes well-known collectors or it was featured in famous auctions, then its desirability skyrockets even higher, and $38 million, while sounding extreme, becomes believable when you think about how art collectors pay hundreds of millions for rare paintings because rarity combined with demand creates limitless value, and in the same way, this penny has become a masterpiece in the numismatic world. A 1-cent piece that has transcended its face value to become a cultural and historical artifact, and for those who wonder whether they might own such a coin, the advice is always to carefully check your 1986 D pennies with a magnifying glass, look for doubling in the letters and date, check for off-center strikes, look at the weight to see if it's closer to 3.1 grams like the older copper pennies instead of 2.5 grams for zinc ones, and pay attention to the rims and edges because even a small anomaly can be a clue to a valuable error. And while most 1986 D pennies are worth only a cent or maybe a few dollars in high grade, the possibility that one extraordinary example is out there worth millions keeps collectors searching day after day, and the excitement never dies because the dream of finding a multi-million-dollar penny in spare change is as thrilling as winning the lottery. And when you think about it, the story of the 1986 D penny is not just about a coin but about human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the thrill of discovery, because in a world where perfection is mass-produced, it is the flaws that capture imagination and drive value to unbelievable heights. So this 1986 D 1-cent coin, with its transitional planchet, double die obverse, off-center strike, broad strike characteristics, and potential additional die cracks and clashes, represents the pinnacle of error collecting, and it proves that even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprises. And that is why its value has soared to $38 million and why it continues to be a legend among collectors, and the more you think about it, the more you realize that such coins remind us to pay attention to the small things in life because sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest worth and tell the most incredible stories. And as we wrap up this deep exploration into the world of the 1986 D penny, remember that the thrill of coin collecting lies not just in owning rare pieces but in the journey of searching, learning, and discovering, because every coin has a story and some stories, like that of this 1986 D era penny, are worth millions.